Welcome to Everyday Aromatherapy. I'm Jason Rivers. Join me as we explore how to incorporate the healing properties of essential oils into your daily life. Good morning. Today I'm going to show you a simple recipe that's going to help you get your day started just right. Why don't you head on inside and I'll meet you there after I turn off the water. I don't know about you, but sometimes even a full night of sleep isn't enough to leave me feeling rested in the morning. Now, you could always grab for your traditional cup of coffee, but why not try something a little less stressing to your system? That's where today's recipe is going to come to the rescue. Here's what you're going to need to make a stimulating smelling salt. You're going to need 3/4 tablespoon of sea salt, 1 1/4 tablespoon of Epsom salt, 3 drops of basil essential oil, Ocimum basilicum, 3 drops of sweet orange essential oil, Citrus sinensis. You'll need a container to mix them in, something to stir with, and finally a storage container. You might also find it helpful, depending upon the size of your storage container, to have a funnel to get the salts into the storage container. Before we start blending our stimulating smelling salts, I'd like to cover a couple of important safety considerations. To begin with, if this is the first time that you're working with a particular essential oil, it's important that you research it thoroughly. Just because essential oils are natural does not mean that they're safe in every situation. A good aromatherapy book will list clearly the precautions and contraindications for any given essential oil. If you don't happen to have an aromatherapy book handy, you can always harness the power of the internet. Just go to Google, type in the name of the essential oil and the word contraindication. You should get a pretty good list of known contraindications for that given oil. Now this does bring me to my second point that I'd like to talk about. We often refer to essential oils by their common name. A common name is something like basil, bay, rose, sandalwood. The only problem with this is that there are some essential oils that share a common name even though they come from completely different plants. What this means is that there's a large potential that they will react differently to your system from each other. That's why it's important whenever you're purchasing an essential oil, or if you use an essential oil in a recipe, to write down what's known as its Latin binomial name. This is specific to that particular plant, and the therapeutic properties and active constituents will be consistent across the board. That being said, one other thing to take into account is the family that the plant comes from. Now, I don't know about you, but I happen to have hay fever, and so I am allergic to plants that are in the Asteraceae family. Now, that would include ragweed, but it also includes other things like chamomile and calendula. Because essential oils are so concentrated, you might be able to drink chamomile tea, but if you use chamomile essential oil and you happen to have a particular allergy, you might get a reaction. So the best thing to do is to perform what's called a skin patch test before you actually use your essential oil. Now this is mostly important if you're going to be applying the oil directly to your skin, either diluted or undiluted. If you're simply going to be diffusing the oil in the air, the likelihood that you're going to have a severe reaction is fairly limited, but I would probably go ahead and recommend you do it anyway. To perform a skin patch test, it's very simple. All you do is you take a couple of drops of the essential oil, put it in the crook of your arm, and hold your arm up for about 5 minutes. Open your arm, check to see if there's any reaction. If the reaction could be redness, swelling, itchiness. Close your arm for another 5 minutes, and then check. If you haven't had a reaction at this point, you're probably going to be okay. Now, of course, if you do get any sort of itching, burning, redness, or anything like that, even if it's before the first 5 minutes is up, you'll want to wash your arm immediately. So you can use just soap and water, or you can also run milk over it, because that will also cleanse the area. One last thing. I already mentioned that essential oils are very concentrated. These are powerful things that we're working with here. So I would recommend, if you don't have a pair of safety glasses, you go ahead and pick up a pair. I don't have one, but I do have some reading glasses, so I'm going to go ahead and put those on today. Alright, now let's get to it. Now the first thing that we're going to need to do is take our Epsom salt, which again I've pre-measured, and that's 1 1/4 tablespoon, and our sea salt, 3/4 of a tablespoon. We're just going to mix those two together because this is going to be the base for our smelling salts. Then take your basil essential oil and add 3 drops. Okay. Next, we're going to take our sweet orange oil and add 3 drops of it. Okay. Now, an extra drop did get in there, and that's okay. It's not going to kill us. Then, you can take your little spoon and just blend it all together. I'm telling you, this recipe is so simple. Aromatherapy does not need to be hard. In fact, it is one of the simplest things that you can do to drastically improve the quality of your life. Okay. Now once you have the salts and the essential oils good and mixed well together, all you have to do is bottle your product. Now I know that this is going to be hard to get in here, so what I'm doing is I'm putting this funnel into the bottle. Now chances are this might exceed the size of the bottle. If that's okay, you can always put it in the baggie. You'll notice that the bottle that I'm using is what's called an amber bottle. The reason for this is that essential oils can be damaged very easily by light, by oxygen, and by water. So the amber is actually going to filter out the harmful UV rays that are going to damage some of the constituents of the essential oils. And this is a tightly sealing bottle, so we don't have to worry about any air getting in there and possibly oxidizing the essential oil. Okay, that's it. What you'd want to also do is you would want to go ahead and put some sort of a label on this so that you know what it is. Trust me, I've had enough unlabeled bottles that I've gone back to a couple months later and thought, what the heck is that? Even though our stimulating smelling salts are stored in an amber-colored bottle, I recommend that you keep them in a cool place out of direct sunlight. In order to use them, all you do is take the top off, hold it under your nose, and inhale. That's the perfect way to start the day, or perk up your afternoon. Stimulating smelling salts. Simple to make, simple to use. That's everyday aromatherapy. We'll see you next time.